All right, what's going on, guys? Back today with another video. So today I'm covering a video that I had posted an idea about a couple weeks ago about doing the ranking the Akatsuki, but in terms of character. A lot of you were wanting me to do this specifically because ranking them by power has been done considerably at this point. So while I might still do that in the future, today I just really wanted to focus on this video. I don't know how well this video is going to do. I'm hoping it does pretty well, but um, a lot of y'all were wanting the character ranking instead, and at the same time a lot of you liked the way I did the ranking geniuses video, where it's kind of like tier list and more of a just hanging out chill kind of vibe, kind of like a live stream kind of vibe. So that's what we're doing today. And so I got all the Akatsuki members here. I'm gonna exclude these three because someone's already got Obito by himself. So I guess I didn't make this list, I just found it. And honestly, I wanted to just use it, save time, I guess. I know Sasuke was temporarily in the Akatsuki, but I think his character analysis might warrant its own video, so that's what I'll do. Same with Madara. I mean, I could do a character analysis video on him at some time in the future. And so while they aren't really technically Akatsuki, I know Sasuke was temporarily in one, in the Akatsuki. Madara wasn't even in the Akatsuki period. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know anything about the Akatsuki. You let Obito take his name and quote unquote died before Obito even formed the Akatsuki. So I don't think he even knows anything about it. And I think they have this as Toby. I mean, I might like do an honorable mention at the end of the video for him, but this is just in terms of strictly character. So yeah, the criteria for this is just, how they are to me as a character overall and how much they contribute to the story. And in terms of personality, how likable they are, how memorable they were, et cetera, et cetera. I'm pretty sure y'all can get the gist of it. This is going to be my own list, y'all. So, y'all don't agree with it, that's totally fine. Post your list in the comments below. I'm actually kind of interested. I'm interested to see who all you pick as your favorite, character. I know the title and the thumbnail might seem confusing because I said who's the most honorable, whatnot, but that's just saying who's got the best character. You know what I'm saying? So, at number 11, I'm gonna have to put Zetsu. I know many of you aren't probably gonna like that. I see some pretty big Zetsu stands, and I understand Zetsu's himself is pretty cool. I actually didn't mind Zetsu up until he was attached to Kabuto. I know him killing Madara is like a universal sin at this point, in 2024. And while I definitely agree, I'm not as pissed about it as I was initially. And so but that aside, he doesn't really drive the plot forward. I know him rewriting Shinobi history should technically mean he drove the entire plot forward, but I don't know. And in my own way, I just feel like that plot twist just, I don't know. It didn't resonate with me like I know it did with some of you guys. But outside of that, he's just the recon guy with Akatsuki. He doesn't really do or say much. He's present in a couple of different fights, namely Itachi and Sasuke. And I did like his inclusion in that fight where he's just kind of chilling and kind of giving narrative lines and exposition dumps while in the fight again of certain abilities and whatnot. So that was cool. I liked him in that. And to be honest with you, I think that's how he should have stayed. But I don't know. I just like him as a recon guy. So outside of that, he doesn't really do too much. So yeah. At number 10, we got Hedon. Now, while Hedon's very likable, in terms of pushing the plot forward, he does outside of killing Asuma. And don't get me wrong, him killing Asuma was big, especially at the time, because it's kind of in the beginning of Shippuden still, so it's still it still hits you. The more important characters don't start dying off until later, to mid and later Shippuden. So him killing Asuma was a big deal at the time. And obviously we all love Shikamaru, so it's even more big, in that sense. Um, but like outside of him being kind of funny, um, he doesn't really do much for me. I'll be honest. He's kind of just there in a way. Uh, I will say in terms of like, you know, personality, I feel like he might steal the show from Kakuzu. Whereas Kakuzu's kind of more stoic and whatnot. But outside of that, like he doesn't really do a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's like the point of his character, is just to be that maniac who's all about killing. You know, he doesn't really have a quote personality. I mean, obviously he gets triggered if someone starts even remotely questioning his beliefs of the way of Jashin. He just like loses it, which is kind of funny. It gives him like a unique character trope or whatnot. You know, that funny little characteristic. But outside of that, I think he's just kind of likable in the sense that he's funny. His banter with Kakuzu is pretty funny. I think, to be honest with you, I think that's what lands him as a likable person for me, because the banter between him and Kakuzu is pretty funny to me. It's very reminiscent of Datara and Toby in the mid Shippuden. So I think that's where I'm going to put him at. You know, he's not a terrible, I mean, obviously he's a terrible person in terms of the actual show, but in terms of like character, he's not like, I don't like hate his character per se. I just don't think he's as memorable. Maybe if he was like, you know, had more screen time, maybe he'd be higher, but outside of that, at number 9, we're going to have Conan. Conan is weird in a way, because she's obviously a very likable character, especially when she, you know, changes sides and whatnot, and you know, she does what she can against Obito. That was like her like defining moment in my opinion. Her going toe to toe with Obito and nearly killing him was great. Was crazy. Outside of that though, it's kind of weird. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, because I was talking to my buddy Kyle Kenny, that he does videos with me every now and then, about the Akatsuki members, and talking about this idea in general. And we got to Conan, and we kind of like just agree that she doesn't really feel like her own character, mainly due to the fact that she's kind of in Pain's shadow, and it's not her fault by any means. Like, it's not, you know. And to be fair, and to be honest with you, she's kind of in that category of the female characters who aren't written the best. So it's, I'm not trying to fault Kishimoto at all, but I think most of the fandom can agree when it comes to female writing, he's, you know, not quite the best. But so it's not really her fault. Like her, you know, her placement here, it's just, I don't know. You know, anytime she's on screen, it's typically in the shadow of Pain or Nagato, who's understandably getting more emphasis during the screen time that they both have. As a matter of fact, I feel like for the most part, she's kind of like Zetsu in the way that she just kind of is an exposition dump on Pain's abilities and personality. Where like whenever they're talking, when her and Pain are both talking to Obito, and she's like, you know, you could spare us your words of warning. Pain's never lost a fight. Something like that. She's like there to kind of build Pain up, which is not, again, it's pretty cool. Like just her delivery and her lines and her her like calm composure and attitude. It's really cool. Like, you know, but outside of that though, like again, I don't want to say me saying that she's not her own character has like a negative connotation to that, because she's obviously a cool character and she's obviously really likable. But she's just, I don't know, she doesn't really stand out to me as like a big character, you know, unfortunately, because when you think about it, she is one of the founders of the Akatsuki, so she kind of should feel more important, but she's just not, in my opinion. All right, at number 8, we have Kakusu. Now, some of you might be surprised. My opinions over the years have changed about Kakuzu, especially in terms of power. And in terms of power, I'm kind of like iffy about how his placement in the Akatsuki. I'm not going to go into too much here, but in terms of character, he's kind of like Hedon, you know, and like, the reason why he's above Conan in terms of character is because he does kind of feel like his own character. Even in his 2-man team, he obviously feels like, you know, the leader of his team because for obvious reasons. He's smarter than Hedon. He's more composed than Hedon. He's like, even Hedon himself says like, you're the doer. Like, you're the doer of the duo. So I mean, you're the one that gets the stuff done, you know. Which is very much, you know, he, in terms of the character, the team, he's pretty much Hedon's babysitter in a way. But at the same time, while like a lot of people have kind of said that Kakuzu's a bland villain, he's very stoic. I mean, that's kind of true, but I mean, we kind of need those kind of characters, you know. While there's going to be more, you know, characters, so like specifically in this list, that are going to mean more to the story and in terms of personality, like there's going to be more villains that are like, you know, that blur that line between, you know, villain, hero, and anti-hero, you know, where we need villains like Kakuzu who are clearly villains. You know, he just, all he cares about is money, and you know, he's gonna be that guy that gets the stuff done, and he does enjoy killing, I guess, in his own way. Like, he's not like Hedon, but he obviously doesn't care about killing like whatsoever. So I mean, he's like the cool-ish character trope, you know, the villain that just kind of seems composed, and he's cool, you know. Again, why he's above Conan is because he kind of stands out more because he's his own character. He's not in the shadow of someone like, you know, Pain, you know, because obviously Conan is grouped with Pain, so she's in his shadow. But you know, Kakuzu is pretty much, again, he's the leader of his team, so he stands out more. Plus, his abilities are kind of crazy, especially for the time. Like, at the moment where you were reading his ability, like reading the manga or watching the anime for the first time, and you get to him fighting Kakashi, Shikamaru, and company, like, his abilities are out there. We had never seen abilities like, I mean, obviously, like, we've seen elemental attacks before, but the concept of him like having all 5 nature transformations because he's stealing the hearts of other ninja and incorporating their chakra natures into his own, it's crazy. You know, it's stuff that we hadn't seen prior. So like, and it's a different kind of immortality than Hedon's, which, you know, it makes their team kind of more cool because, you know, they're the immortal duo in completely different ways. So I mean, I do think that he probably should have been expanded upon more, like his backstory and whatnot, just from the fact that he, you know, fought the first Hokage. So that would have been really cool to see, like, you know, a quick flashback of him maybe fighting Hashirama, or, you know, getting a, you know, like I said, he doesn't need like a, you know, in-depth backstory like Kisame, because again, he's just kind of bland. There's nothing really, like, he's not meant to have, you know, a plot-driven character development. You know, he's not meant to have that. He's meant to be a cold-hearted villain, and that's what we need. He's bland. He's sort of bland, but has his own personality about him. And so I think that's why he sticks out above Conan, in my opinion. So I'm gonna stick him at number 8. Okay, so number 6 and number 7, they're really tricky placements for me. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I thought about this for a while, and I think I'm just gonna have to come to a decision now. I'm putting Data at 7. And I'll explain why this was tricky to me when I get to number 6. But Data is really, this is where we start getting to the charismatic, you know, Akatsuki members that have more of a personality to them. You know, because, you know, unlike these others that we play, except for maybe Hedon, because, like, I mean, Hedon and Data are similar in the sense of they're kind of there for comedic relief in a way, but they also mean business when they're actually fighting. But like, I feel like Data has more of charisma than Hedon, and obviously more than Kakuzu and Conan. Where like, and it's cool because like whenever we first see him, like he's like the first Akatsuki member outside of Kisame and Hedon that come in, and when he fights and beats Gaara, who at this point is a powerhouse to us. You know, we weren't entirely sure what Gaara had been capable of out, you know, post time skip, but the fact that we see that he's been named Kazekage was a huge, think a revelation to us, and then we see Datara just come in and beat him and leave. Like it's just another day for him. Like it's pretty much his day job. It's crazy. So he kind of gets the ball rolling in Shippuden, which is a massive deal. And his fight, quote unquote, with Naruto and Kakashi was a really entertaining thing. And his fight with Sasuke, it was legendary. I don't think I really need to expand too much more on that. I'm pretty sure everyone will agree. But you can clearly see like a personality in him because he's obsessed with his art. He obviously takes great pride in it. And it's funny because like it almost seems that his love for killing, I guess, in a way, is taking a back seat to his explosive art. Because you can kind of clearly, again, like I said earlier, Kakuzu and Hedon, they have, almost like a genuine love for like killing people. Whereas Datara, he kind of does, but he takes more pride in his art than anything else. Like he doesn't really care too much about what has to get done, as long as he gets to show off his art, right? And that's cool. And I think it's, I think that adds more personality to him than others. And his quirky little thing he always does, it's really cool. It kind of adds like another character trope to him. And so it's really cool. I do like Datara in a way. I think as a villain, he works. Again, he's not meant to have, a character defining personality, or a plot driven personality. I think he's in the same vein as Hedon and Kakuzu, where he's meant to be just, a bland-ish villain, but he does have more of a personality to him. And then we finally get, we learn that he's got a hatred for the Uchiha, specifically Itachi and Sasuke, because of just how they just don't give a crap about him, which I think is pretty funny. And you clearly get to see like how he got to that point, and it's really cool. And so Datara is, starts to get more personality, Datara is like the is in that, where we get to see more personality from the Akatsuki, which is really cool. But the reason I have him at 7, I was going to put him at 6, but here, I think I might get hate for this, but I'm putting Orochimaru at 6. Now, Orochimaru is cool, right? Like he's legendary, but I know a lot of people like Orochimaru, but in a way, he's also bland. Not bland in a negative sense, I guess, but he does just enjoy killing people, and he just cares about himself. There's really no redeeming quality for him outside of the fact that he helped in the Fourth War. But even then, it's funny because certain people, myself included, are all hyped to see him in the Fourth War, helping the 5 Kage heal, reviving the first 4 Hokage so they can help out, and then him getting to the battlefield, helping out, and teaming up with Hiruzen. It's all meant to make us hyped up and say oh yeah, this is cool, we can see Orochimaru next. But then we kind of forget that this man had done horrible things, all for the sake of himself. That's all he cares about. And the thing is though, is we're told that his parents died, and that is kind of, I guess, the catalyst for why he wanted to be immortal, because it just kind of he hated the idea of death itself. And I think it began as a selfless, crusade to gain immortality, but then it just became more of a selfish deal to just keep himself alive. So while Orochimaru, the thing is though, it's never really provided to us outright. Obviously more so than these other guys. He does get more flashbacks to him about his past and his childhood, but they're nothing in the sense of how maybe Obito or Itachi, they don't, I don't know. It's just weird because for the most part, Orochimaru comes off as somebody who is just all about himself. There's really no redeeming quality. There's no trying to make the world a better place kind of deal, for Pain or Obito or Itachi. He's just all about himself. And I think that's why I have him here, because like he's obviously, you know, he's cool, you know, and it's you know, that's fine. But outside of having, you know, a conflicting personality, conflicting character development, there's really nothing to him but that. Um, Maybe you can argue that Boruto era, and then again, like I said earlier, the Fourth War era. But other than that, I think we're just gonna have him here. Okay, so at number 5, I might get some hard flack on this, but I'm putting Sasuke at number 5. I know a lot of people really like. I know people like. A lot of people love Sasuke, and I understand why. Sasuke is sick. This guy is so cool. Like it's kind of weird because like now I've seen the fandom, thankfully, calm down about him, quote unquote, losing to Sakura and Chio, which in itself isn't even that big of a deal when you really take a seat and think about it. Because I mean, Sakura is no joke. I mean, her character in a way, yeah, sure, is kind of a joke, but like Sakura's abilities are no joke, and you give her Chio as a partner who pretty much takes away all her flaws, and at least when it comes to like not knowing how to fight Sasori. And I mean, you might walk away pretty beaten up. So, and then obviously, like again, like I said, the fandom over the years has calmed down about this and have, you know, seriously taken back to realize that Sakura and Chio won mainly due to Sasori letting them kill him. I mean, even Chio literally said that he could have dodged that final attack. So I don't know how much more blatant it can get. But that aside, no, Sasori is sick. This guy has like, I think honestly he's this high up like 95% due to his like swag factor. Because I mean, the guy fights with a literal dead Kage as a weapon. I mean, you don't get much cooler than that. And he does have a, you know, a backstory, and you can clearly see how he got to his serial killer-ish ways and whatnot. And the fact that, you know, he gets tired of waiting as an adult because he got really upset waiting for his parents to come home as a kid. And so stuff like that, it does add layers to a villain. And it's really good too, because like you could really argue Sasori starts the trend of villains having more of a backstory, at least in terms of the Akatsuki. Obviously, we've seen villains before in the series, like Zabuza and Haku and Gaara have, you know, reasons for why they are the way they are, whereas, you know, most of the Akatsuki on the lower end don't, aside from Conan. But Sasori, you finally get this, you know, and it's weird because like Deidara, we were introduced to Deidara as someone who like doesn't really have any like backstory, at least in terms of like a tragic backstory. And so you're kind of assuming Sasori might be the same, but no, you see like layers and layers about like how Sasori got to this point. And so and you know, it explains his obsession with puppets and whatnot, and it explains, you know, his why he is the way he is. And so, and then his connection with Chio again, and just kind of, you know, in a way it broke my heart reading it, and I understand like where he's coming from. So like you get them, and obviously his moveset and his, you know, his kind of charisma, it's so cool. I feel like 4 and 5 again are kind of like 6 and 7, where it's a little bit more, the lines like a lot more blurrier. It's really hard to like pick one above the other. I just like number 4 a little bit more. So I guess going on to that, we have Kisame at number 4. Kisame is here like, I mean, it's Kisame. I mean, for one thing, like he's kind of like Deidara, where he's very charismatic, but he has that different kind of charisma than Deidara. He's always got something like slick or funny to say, and when he's on screen, he means business, but in a completely different way. It's almost like when he means business, he gets it done in a fun way. I don't know if that's like a weird way to describe it, but and it's cool too, because like with Conan, Kisame is in the shadow of somebody who's, you know, way more important and way more like big to the series. But despite that, even in his first appearance, Itachi didn't completely steal the show. Mainly just because of how menacing and odd Kisame looks. Like, he left a lasting impression on you because of his charismatic nature, his demeanor, his design. Like, I mean, again, like, I don't know. It's just, he's so cool. He's got so much clout to him. And his fights with Guy and B are obviously pretty funny. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's because of who he's matched up against. It adds to that funny slash fun way of fighting for him. Because obviously he's there to get stuff done. Like, he means business. But it's because of who he's up against. It kind of adds a little bit more humor than most other fights with the Akatsuki. So that might just be me. But no, Kisame is really cool. He's very charismatic. And his backstory is, I wouldn't say it's like tragic, but it's definitely admirable, right? Because in its own like gruesome and almost kind of messed up way, where he kills his teammates because he doesn't want any information leaked. He's loyal. I think that's like the best character trope for Kisame, is that, as evil as he is when he speaks and whatnot, like, he doesn't, at least to me, he's never really come across as like a bloodthirsty villain. And even he says to himself, like, the system's broken, and that's kind of like the reason why he wants to join the Akatsuki anyway, because Obito, quote unquote Madara, seems to have an idea that to fix the system, and Kisame is willing to, see what it is. And so, and then obviously his death is probably one of the more, honorable ones, because he committed suicide because he didn't want to leak any information about the Akatsuki to the enemy, which even Naruto and Guy, comment on, and so I don't know. I really like Kisame, and again, maybe it's because he had more screen time in the series that I kind of put him over Sasori. Like, maybe if Sasori had been around a little bit more in the series, that there's chances for him that he could have been higher than Kisame. But for right now, I'm gonna keep Kisame at number 4. Okay, so the top 3, I'm sure y'all can guess like who the top 3 are, but not in the order. I think I thought about this for a while. I thought, like, honestly, in terms of like the top 3, I spent the longest time thinking about who is number 1, 2, and 3. So at number 3, I'm putting Itachi. Now the top 3 honestly could be moved anywhere between number 1 and 3. Like, you can have Itachi at number 1, number 2, and I could completely understand why. For me, I don't know. It's because for me, like, I feel like Itachi is more of a plot device for Sasuke, obviously, and even a little bit for Naruto, at least in the war arc or the latter part of Shippuden. But obviously, Itachi is his own character. Like, that's about as blatant as day. But because Itachi was already like sick, like, he was already cool as crap. Before we were introduced to him or before we were shown his complete backstory and found out who he really is. Like, even as a villain, he completely stole the show from the cast of Naruto. Like, I'm not even gonna kidding around. Like, at the end of part 1, even if Kakashi was my favorite character, like, Itachi just had that like menacing cool factor to be like, man, this is the guy to bring down. I mean, even though we knew, like, because hints and whatnot about the other Akatsuki members, we really felt like this guy was going to be like one of the final villains of the series, mainly because of the organization that he's a part of, and obviously he's a a plot device for Sasuke to beat. So, oh my gosh, he was so cool in part 1, and then when you find out who he really is, it perpetuated him from already a cool mofo to someone who's like on a god tier level when it comes to like character. Like, it's so crazy, like, amount of a hype that Itachi gets from both the series and the fandom, and rightfully so. And I'm not going to get into his power scaling of him or whatnot, but in terms of character, he is like one of the best. And it's funny because, like, when you think of Itachi and how cool he is, you don't really get much cooler than the line he has to Kabuto, where, because the reanimation has been built up as this jutsu that has like no flaws whatsoever, blatantly said from Kabuto himself, that this jutsu has no risk whatsoever. And Itachi just within like 2 minutes of even talking to Kabuto, this jutsu does have one flaw. And Kabuto's like, eh? And Itachi's just like, me. Man, you don't get much cooler than that. And so, yeah, like, Itachi's cool. I don't think anyone's going to dispute it. It's really hard for me to even like argue why he's at number 3 as opposed to number 2 and 1. I just think I like number 2 and 1 a little bit more than Itachi. Itachi's definitely on my top 10 favorite characters. Sometimes I struggle to like throw him into 5, and the top 5 favorite characters, and not because he's not a great character. He's obviously a really cool character. It's just, I don't know. I think I have him at number 3 as opposed to number 2 and number 1 because, you know, he's obviously like a hero in a way, and but he does straddle that line between like villain, hero, and deuteragonist or whatnot. Like, he's obviously like a good guy, but his situation does kind of make you like wonder sometimes about like how he is hero and whatnot. But in terms of character, like it's non-debatable. Itachi is like one of the best characters in the series. So I'm just gonna have him at number 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and say number 1 and number 2 are really tough. I mean, if Itachi being number 3, it was tough for me. I could tell you picking number 1 and number 2 is extremely tough. But number 2, I have Pain. I know a lot of people are probably going to get on me about that. And I understand, like, Pain is the guy. When you name yourself after your philosophy, Pain, bro, like, you don't get much cooler than that. And so, like, I get it. Like, and I could, you know, maybe it's like between 1 and 2, it's like the day. It depends on the day. But Pain is cool. Pain is so sick. Pain is someone who, like, I don't think there's a character in Naruto that you kind of more sympathize with than Pain. You know, maybe Obito is kind of in that realm. You know, maybe you probably sympathize with Obito, maybe, but I think like it's easier to sympathize with Pain because of like the speeches that he gives, and like no one in the series, I feel like, proves their point or gets their point across in the way that demands attention than Pain, like better than Pain. You know, and the fact that like he had Naruto stumped when he gave his exposition or not exposition, but like gave his backstory and like the explanation of what he's doing to Naruto. Like, he even point blank asked Naruto, like, okay, then what's your answer? Like, what? And no one has really questioned Naruto and like on how he's gonna fix things. Naruto even gives him an answer prior to him asking this. He's like, oh, first I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna change the ninja world. And Pain's like, oh, that's pretty noble, but like, how are you gonna do that? And then Naruto just doesn't have an answer, which is cool. And even it leaves us questioning like how Naruto, because like me personally, whenever Pain was asking, like, I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, how would Naruto accomplish something like that? Like, what's he gonna do? So yeah, I don't know. And then obviously when it comes to like his presence in Naruto, no one before has just rolled up on a village. I mean, I guess Deidara could have done something similar with his C3 bomb, but like still, no one just runs up on a village and vibe checks them the way Pain did. And when he was about to peace out, he literally just blows the entire village up. Like, it made Orochimaru's invasion look like a daycare in a way, like a tea party. And so, I don't know, like, Pain is so cool. Pain's legit. Nagato himself is also really cool, especially in the war arc. He's really, he's very likable in the way he just kind of, quickly talks to Naruto as if they've been like lifelong friends. It's totally cool. And so Pain is at number 2, mainly because Obito is like on my top 5 favorite characters. And like, to me, I think I was really just the idea that Obito was quote unquote maybe not meant to be in the series. Like, and when I say like not meant to be in the series, I mean to say in the context of the plot twist. Like, we weren't expecting Obito to be like a major player in the series. Obviously, if you know you're smart enough to figure it out, you know, before he's revealed as Obito, then yeah, like fine. But honestly, like I'll say this right off the bat, I did not think it was actually Obito under the mask. Uh, I kind of, so I thought it was Obito's body, but I will be honest with you, I really thought that it was like Madara using Obito's body, similar to how like Orochimaru planned to use Sasuke's body, but in like in a different way. Um, so like I was convinced it was Madara up until Madara actually was in the fourth war. Like when he finally appeared in front of Gar's fourth company, then I was like, okay, that's got to be Obito. And even when it was finally revealed, it still blew my mind. I was like, what? Like how? Why? Like how did it get to this point? And so I think the fact that Obito wasn't like meant to be taken seriously as a player in Naruto, and then turned out to be pretty much like the sole manipulator, like, or like 85% the manipulator of the entire like world, like the world. It just, oh man, I can't really get over how sick Obito is. And even like his entire character, as we see from a little kid to how he is in the fourth war, like everything about him is great. He's an incredible example of a tragic hero or a tragic character. You know, literally was manipulated by Madara from the very get-go, and he's an example of someone who didn't have a choice. I know, granted, like even after he saw Kakashi kill Rin, I get it. Like he still could have like turned back and whatnot, but I don't know. When you have someone like Madara, who's obviously very charismatic and clever and knows how to talk to people and knows how to manipulate, I mean, I don't know. It's not hard to imagine how Obito was really talked into doing this. And like, I'm sure like Obito did at some point start questioning the things that he did. But to be honest with you, I think by the time he did question like all the stuff that he'd been doing, he's already been too into everything to turn back. So I don't know. I like tragic characters, you know, people who, you know, have this tragic backstory to them, but they obviously want to make the world better. I think that's what I mean by he's a tragic hero. Obviously he's, you know, up until like the fourth war, you could really start, even then you can't really argue he's a hero. He just helps out a lot, you know. So I just like Obito. I like the fact that like he's, you know, don't get me wrong, I think the fact that he's a complete survival champion is a bit contrived, but still though, the fact that he's, you know, goes from a, you know, naive little boy who just loved to help people to a jaded, cynical villain who kind of just wants to watch the world burn, to a reformed, you know, slightly reformed hero who does everything he can to help save the world from Madara and later Kaguya. I don't know. It's cool. It's, you know, he's kind of like the Darth Vader of Naruto. I'm pretty sure that meme's been tossed around a lot. So I don't know. I really like Obito. His moveset's pretty cool. It's always cool to see him fight too when he does fight. So yeah, I mean, I know this list was kind of like, it may have been off. I don't know. I hope you guys do agree. I know that number 1, 2, and 3 specifically are going to be like the ones that maybe getting me in the most trouble. But typically in terms of power and character, these are like the top 3 that everyone goes to. It's just where they are placed is the question. So that's my list for today, y'all. I really hope y'all enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you have, be sure to let me know in the comments who is your favorite Akatsuki member in terms of character. And even give me y'all's list. Like actually like put your list down in the comments below, like from 11 to 1, who the best character in the Akatsuki is. So thank you all for watching again all the way to the end. If you have, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, guys. It really helps me out. Thank you all for watching. Until my next one, Lightning Blade is out.